Caleb Williams came into this season with such high hopes, high promise. He's generational. He's the next Patrick Mahomes. He is top 10 quarterback now before he's even played down in the NFL. And I think we've seen over the last 3 weeks a little bit of a chink in that armor, a little bit of a chink in that shine.
Yep.
So before we get too deep into this, if you're watching this, why don't you guys do us a favor? Why don't you guys do us a favor and go down to the comment section, give us a like, give us a subscribe down there, and tell us what you think. Do you still think Caleb Williams is a generational talent, or is he just a really great prospect? Or else, or is you think he's not a great prospect at all? But let us know what you think. We always love hearing from you guys. We love talking with you guys down in the comment section. But now we're going to get into it. B, you tell me, what are your thoughts? He's had 3 bad games in a row against Arizona, Notre Dame, and now against Utah. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams as a generational prospect?
It's a tough one, Emmett. It is. I'm still looking at the graphic that I forget what channel the USC Utah game was on, but they kind of just flashed it up. I think maybe it was Fox. I don't know. Yeah. So versus non-top 25 teams, for those that don't know, his completion percentage gets non-top 25 teams to 70%. His yards per game is 317, and his TD to interception ratio is 78-7. So pretty much 10-1. He does not turn the ball over much against non-top 25 teams. Versus top 25 teams, he is 51% completion percentage. His yards per game is 172, and he has the 1-to-1 TD to interception ratio. So he threw 6 touchdowns, 6 picks is the actual number. The one caveat to this data is he had 23 starts against non-top 25 teams and 5 starts against top 25 teams. So obviously there's a big difference in sample size there for non-top versus top 25 teams. To answer the question, is he generational or great? It's tough, man. I'm looking at this data, and he struggles against good defenses. Like, it's right there. And I'm not trying to nitpick his numbers, but when you're putting up 172 yards a game and gets top 25 teams, not even 200, 172. If you're generational going against a college defense, you would think you would play fairly, at least, right? 172 is not good. I'm pretty sure they lost all those games too. Like, not saying he's the reason why, but you can probably pull in a lot of weight to his play and just the offense in general. I am 60% leaning towards that he's just a very great prospect. I think the term generational is also kind of like vague. Trevor Lawrence was described as generational, which he's really, really good too. But what makes the guy generational? That's really the question. We don't have to dive deep into it now, but like, I want to know that logic. Like, what makes him? Yeah, he has awesome plays. Like, you see all the time him roll out the pocket, evading pressure, zipping a 50-yard pass downfield like it's nothing. His raw talent is there, okay? But in regards to the NFL, can he play in structure? Can he operate within less than 2.75 seconds and get the ball out on time? Structure, rhythm is everything there, right? But yeah, I'm more leaning towards he's very great. Hey, I also take him. He's a very great prospect. It's hard to find a good quarterback. But is he generational? I'm not sure.
So
sorry, man.
I'm going to take this. I know we're the Rational Football League show. I'm going to take this irrational for just a moment. And I do need to give a shout out, and I will give it out when it's appropriate. Is Caleb Williams going to be the biggest bust in NFL history? I say that because, like we just covered with those numbers, right? If we're looking at the raw data of the numbers, right, they're like, oh, well, that's just top defenses. He doesn't have talent around him. It's a Lincoln Riley problem. But we've commented before against those bad teams. Is he seeing the field well? Like, that corner blitz came front side and just blew him up. Oh, he had a crosser going around and he just took off. I mean, great highlight play, but you have to hit that crosser on third down. In the NFL, you just can't do that. Or he's playing against Nevada and it's cover 3. There's an out route. It's 3rd and 4. And it's like, okay, it should be 1, 2, 3. Hit that out route. First down, right. But instead, because it's Nevada, he drops back, sprints up, runs left, runs right, does a little flip, and then, hits it for a touchdown. It's like, that's great against Nevada, but like, you can't do that against Cleveland. You
Like
can't
Notre
do that
Dame.
against Philadelphia, Notre Dame. I mean, we're talking about, and I'm talking about NFL teams. You can't do it against Notre Dame even. You can't do that against Utah. I mean, Utah, he looked completely useless with his arm. The only way it seemed like he was effective was with his legs.
Yep.
So, again, it's an issue that we've seen against the bad teams too, but he's also now carrying those. I'm going to say we've seen the issues with the good teams, but those issues still remain prevalent against the bad teams. He's just able to clean it up because the team is bad. It shouldn't be, it's not going to be, Sunday talent is a way you can say that. So here's the shout out I need to give. Before this season, I was talking with a friend of mine, Matt Vargas, and I asked him about, I was like, hey man, what are your thoughts about Caleb Williams? And maybe we need to get him on the show at some point, but I asked him like, hey, what are your thoughts on Caleb Williams? Just trying to like small talk conversation. And he mentioned to me, he goes, I don't see it. I don't think he's great. I think he's going to be one of those top hyped up a bust. And I kind of scoffed at it at the time, thinking, no way. But the more we watch, the more questions it feels like we have. And the thing that nails it home for the bust perspective, right? Because what we've kind of mentioned, right? Like, is he seeing the field? Is he getting to his? You can fix that. You can coach that up. Like, hey, Caleb, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, hit here. 1, 2, 3, hit here. You can walk him through those steps. But I think the problem I'm starting to see not only on the field is off the field as well. Asking for, well, whatever team drafts me, I should get a portion of minority ownership of that team, which isn't against the rules. And his agent should have told him that before any kind of sound. He hasn't done anything to shut it down. He's never come out and be like, hey guys, I don't know why that rumor started. That's not true. I'm happy to go with whatever team drafts me number 1 overall. And I'm happy to be a part of an NFL organization. Nothing like that has been said. Even when his dad was saying, hey, he might go back to college for another year. Didn't step up and say anything. Talking about that Notre Dame fan that ran onto the field and was doing the shit. I mean, again, the Notre Dame fan should not have done that. That's wildly inappropriate. You don't go touch a player. You especially don't go and film yourself like in his face and shit. That kid probably should have been arrested, honestly.
Caleb actually handled that well for like what was going on. I would have snapped. Basically, after I'm losing a game like that, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because you don't know. You're walking off the field, so some dude runs up and starts grabbing you. Like, I wouldn't. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what you're going to do here.
Yeah.
So he didn't handle that well. But in the post game, I guess interview,
like
whatever
like
it was,
the presser, like a day afterwards, right? Or it was 2 days afterwards or something like that.
Yeah, where they asked him about it, right? The appropriate NFL response would have been, yeah, Notre Dame came out with a great game plan. They looked really good, and we're looking forward to Utah. We're moving on to Utah, right? That's the NFL appropriate answer. Like, I'm not going to address some fan running onto the field saying, hey, don't paint your name. We're on to Utah. Like, that's a great win for them. It was a great team win for them. They played very well. We're on to Utah. Instead, he mentioned, man, all those people would love to wear these size 12.5 shoes, and lions don't listen to the opinions of sheep. And it was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, yes, he said, he's like, a lot of those dudes would love to be in these, 12.5 size shoes. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, but why are you? What the fuck are you doing, dude? It showed such an immaturity to not sit here and just be like, I'm not going to address a fan running onto the fucking field. Like, that's a dumb question. We're on to Utah. To sit here and give it any kind, like, it was a 35-second response. So, and some people were like, oh, well, it's, but you still gave it the time of day to address a fan running onto the field and talk about how he wish he was me. And what?
Yeah, it was kind of left. That's like outfield left, bro. Like, why do you even say that?
Right, like, that to me shows an immaturity. Yeah. It shows an ego that's always starting to build and develop. And then we see his antics on the sidelines now, his frustrations coming out, and all this other stuff. Agreed. And it makes me question, how coachable is he? Is he going to get to an NFL team and think, hey, I run this shit. You guys drafted me. I want part ownership of this team. I ain't going to listen to a fucking coach telling me I need to stop doing what makes me special.
Right.
And I think that's where we get to the bust potential that I see. Not that he can't clean it up and still be a special player. It's, is he going to be willing to clean it up? is his ego going to be too big? Is where my biggest concern comes with him now going forward after seeing his response to these last 3 weeks of poor play.
Yeah. So, and my thoughts of that, bro, you hit it right on like the head. Just to give you a little bit of a different perspective for everyone out there too. Me personally, bro, if you can walk the walk, then like do it. But like you gotta play well. Like if you want to go out there and be like, yeah, I'm the best shit out there. My shit doesn't stink. Okay, but put up more than 180 yards against a top 25 team, then win. You know what I mean? That's all my thing. People can have their own, I don't know, like personality, I guess, and have their own chip on their shoulder and their swagger, but you better be able to back that shit up then. Go out there and play well.
Yep.
But that's my last thought on
that. I will include one last thought on this, just so we have it on film and on paper. Another additional concern I'm seeing a little bit with Caleb Williams, and this one may not be completely founded, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. And please, if you're watching it, take it with a grain of salt here. But Caleb Williams came into Oklahoma and took over for the starting position for Spencer Rattler against Texas, I believe it was, in the Red River rivalry game. Played really well, got the job the rest of the year. Then transferred to USC, where you're now playing a different slate of opponents. You're in the Pac-12, you're no longer in the Big 12. Different teams, you still keep Lincoln Riley, right? And he looked really good against these teams. But then we saw the first hiccup with him in the second meeting against Utah, where he didn't look as dominant as he had been. And I think it was in the Rose Bowl, if I remember that correctly, where they played them again.
Yep.
And now this year, we're seeing a bunch of teams that have now played him a second or third time. University of Arizona, Arizona State, Stanford, Notre Dame multiple times, Utah. And he's starting to look, I may have mentioned one team he hasn't played yet, but he's starting to look worse and worse now that these teams have seen him a second and third time. So is it a matter of they've now figured out the recipe of Caleb Williams and knowing of, oh, we need to keep him in the pocket. Oh, we need to like work on a scramble drill. Have these teams figured out a sauce to contain Caleb Williams? And if they can figure it out, NFL teams are definitely going to figure out. They're going to already take the game plans they saw at Utah and go, can we implement that? We can implement that. We got better athletes than Utah does. So he's going to probably
surely can.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's going to come into the league again against teams now that are going to be analyzing what Utah did and using that same strategy against him and Lincoln Riley. So that's a little bit of a concern for mine going forward. But again, I don't have a foundational. I don't have the stats and numbers of, oh, this is the first meeting, this was the second meeting performance. But it is something to at least keep an eye on because U of A again held him pretty well. Notre Dame got 3 picks off of him. Utah has pretty much made his arm useless, at least the meeting yesterday. He had to win it with running. So
yeah. And can I just say too, just to bring it all back to the original question, we're not trying to shit on the kid. The kid's good. He's a great prospect. But we're debating, does he deserve the term generational? Trust me.
Right.
I am a Bears fan. We're probably going to take him. He's going to be probably a Chicago Bear in about six months' time. Maybe. Him or Drake May. It's either him or May, right? I'm not saying I would not like the kid on the Bears. I would love him, right? But what we're trying to say is he really generational? That's what we are trying to debate. And hell, the season's still going on. Still got, 5 weeks left of the regular season-ish. The tide could change around him, but as of right now, I'm leaning more towards that he's not generational, but he's good. Great even.
So I want to, just a quick answer because now we're pressed for time on this. Give me a quick answer here. If he shuts it down, like some people suspect he will, because playoffs are out of reach pretty much. The Heisman's out of reach pretty much. If he says, you know what, I'm just going to protect myself and start preparing for the NFL draft, shuts it down, doesn't play another college game, would you consider, based on the last 3 games you saw of Caleb Williams, taking Marvin Harrison Jr. first overall versus Caleb Williams first overall as a Bears fan?
To answer that question, I don't think. I mean, I think the Bears should take Marvin regardless. Like I kind of tweeted that yesterday after watching the Buckeyes game. Is like, dude, they need Marvin Harrison Jr. as one of their top 3 picks, right? But to answer your question, I don't think the order really changes or matters for me. Like if they're going to draft Caleb, you can draft him first, sure, and then draft Marvin. I mean, if they're both going to be Bears, I don't think it really matters. But if he does shut it down, I will say I will 100% judge him. as a
Right.
competitor, right? Because that's just to me, it's like, dude, you're giving up on like the season, and the last taste we have, like the last experience we have of you, is you just being awful for the last 3 weeks, right? Is that the
Yep.
last impression you want to give? You know, these scouts, front offices for the NFL team. Like, dude, come on, man, go out there and play.
Yep. All right. Well, that wraps up that segment for us for the Caleb Williams. Tell us what you guys think again in the comment section. Do you think Caleb Williams is a generational prospect? Do you think he's just a great prospect, or do you think I went a little bit overboard and that my opinion of him being a potential biggest bust in NFL history is way, way too much? Let us know in the comment section. Give us a like, subscribe. We do this every week. If this is where we're losing you, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We have been the RFL Show. Again, I'm Emmett. This is B. We'll see you guys next